Episode 92. So Vernon tells Anita about what's been going on with Martin and the Kenny situation. He tells her about Kenny's threats and how he approached Tyrell and Samantha. Next, Martin tells Smitty that Kenny is dead, and Smitty says, how is he dead when he just saw him a couple hours ago? And Smitty looks at Martin as if he took Kenny out, and Martin assures him he didn't do it. Next, Vernon tells Anita that Martin planned a press conference to come clean about that night, and he didn't go through with it. Yeah, because Bill told him that the threat was eliminated, or he probably would have. Next, Martin tells Smitty he was about to confess to the public what happened that night when he was stopped. And see, Martin doesn't understand, and I know he's been under a lot of stress, and that this whole situation is just so ugly. But, I mean, you're telling Smitty you're about to tell the public before you even had respect enough to come and tell your own husband what happened that night before you told the public. Yeah, that's not gonna sit well. Next, Vernon tells Anita that Kenny was gunned down by a supposed robbery, and Anita asks Vernon, did he make Kenny go away? And Anita knows Vernon didn't do that because she knows Vernon is not about that. He's all about nonviolence. So no, Vernon didn't do it. Next, and Smitty tells him that he must know who that was. I mean, he can assume, but they're not going to tell him directly because look at what he did with the conference. They're too scared that he'll go and tell everything, and so many people involved for that to happen. Next, Nicole tells Vanessa she ran into Leslie earlier and that Leslie angered her so much that she attacked her. And Vanessa's like, whoa, you attacked her, because she knows that Miss Nicole is too pretty for that. But Leslie can take anybody there, so. Next, Bill tells Danny that he doesn't know why he still seeks Vernon's approval, and Danny tells him it must be the unresolved issues from his own dad. And Bill tells her that, nah, that ain't it, but it could be. I would love to know more about Bill's dad, his background, his family. That would be interesting. It would kind of explain, too, why Bill is the person that he is today. So Bill tells her he wanted respect from Vernon. And of course, well, yeah, Vernon is known. He is a man of prestige. The town that Fairmount, his family settled in that town and made it what it is. And so there's a lot of power behind the name Vernon Dupree. And if you're a person like Bill was years and years ago, who's looking for that kind of prestige and power, then Vernon would be that person to look up to. Next, Vernon tells Anita he had nothing to do with Kenny's death. He said his only problem was leaving the Kenny problem in Bill and Joey's hands. And so I guess he's talking about how they handle it and that he didn't want anybody hurt, but you're dealing with someone who wanted to hurt you. And so sometimes things have to be done that you don't want done. And that's the hard part about this situation. I can see it from both ends. So next, Martin tells Smitty that he knows for sure that Vernon had nothing to do with Kenny's demise and that his family kept him out of the loop until recently. So Smitty tells Martin that Joey being involved is not okay. And of course, yeah, we know. But Joey took care of the threat. And that's why Bill brought Joey along, because he knew that if you want the threat taken care of, called Joey. Next, Anita tells Vernon the articulate reunion is off again, and she said it's probably for the best because the family needs her. And yeah, she had no idea all of this was going on. So if the reunion wasn't called off, she wouldn't have even been there to know that all this had popped off. So in a way, it worked out. So Anita and Vernon talk about how Nicole is going to react to the whole Martin situation and being left out of the loop. And we know, I don't think she's going to take too kindly to being left out of the loop. And yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how she reacts to this situation. And will it be the way she reacted? Well, no, it won't be. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Next, Vanessa tells Nicole about Martin's press conference and how he abruptly canceled it before it began. And Nicole tells her she was unaware of the press conference. Next, Martin decides it's time to tell Tyrell and Samantha about the night 2 years ago. But Martin didn't tell them that Kenny's brother was killed and that Kenny was disfigured. He only said that a robbery attempt happened and that it wasn't reported. And he tells them that Kenny is gone. So he gave them a sanitized version of the story. And I mean, yeah, he had to, because he couldn't tell them that a man died and that, well, yeah, he died because of Martin, because then, yeah. You can't trust kids to keep something like that quiet. So, yeah, he had no choice, really, but to give them a sanitized version. Next, Vanessa tells Nicole that whatever Bill told Martin, Martin could barely stand, and Bill ended the conference. And she tells Nicole that Vernon and Bill were arguing, but she couldn't hear anything. And then she goes on to tell her it looks like Martin is in trouble. And you think that Vernon would have at least came up with some story or something to tell Nicole, but I guess they were just too busy trying to diffuse the situation. But yeah, didn't do any favors by trying to hold a press conference, which I'm still not quite sure why he thought that that would be the correct way to go. Next, Smitty tells Martin he needs time, so Martin is not allowed in the house for now. Next, Vernon tells Anita that Smitty was assigned to do an article about Detective Malone and that he and Jacob have been doing a deep dive. And he tells her he hopes Smitty has some type of loyalty and that he weighs the situation and sees that it's best not to pursue it. Yeah. He's finding out that his husband has a lot more to do with the situation than what he thought. Next, Jacob tells Smitty that an unidentified man was found in the park with a fatal gunshot wound. And I'm telling you, does everything happen in the park, or was Kenny living in this park? I don't know. Yeah, maybe he was, because he didn't get the money. But damn, he was working at the country club. I'm so confused. Anyway, Smitty asks Jacob, what does the info have to do with him? And Smitty says that Detective Malone found the body. Of course he did. Jacob tells Smitty it's more to the discovery of the unknown gunshot victim in the park than what he believes, and that Detective Malone reporting it definitely has to be more to that story. So he tells Jacob that Smitty tells Jacob that Martin moved out, and so he's not in a mind space to really deal with what Jacob's trying to tell him about this unidentified body in the park. Next, Martin tells his grandparents he told Smitty everything and Smitty kicked him out. He tells his grandparents that if he told Smitty 2 years ago what happened, Smitty would have made him tell the authorities. And Anita says that she shudders to think what would have happened to them for killing a white man. And that racist county that they were in. Vernon tells Martin there's no way they can say anything without implicating Joey Armstrong, and the results could be fatal in doing that. Yeah, they could. Next, Nicole walks into her parents' home and sees them talking to Martin, and she says someone needs to tell her what the hell is going on. And that ends the episode.